So we talked about onboarding, and I guess generally I would call this knowledge management. How do you take someone from knowing nothing about your system to knowing some of your system to knowing a lot about your system? And there was an interesting overlap between onboarding, say, a new engineer and onboarding someone to, say, your on-call rotation and giving them your run books and getting paged and that sort of thing. Something that we certainly agreed on is that documentation is always out of date. It's just a matter of how much, a matter of degree. And later on, we talk about what you can do about it. But also something that came up that was interesting is that sometimes this can be dangerously wrong, not just stale. So in the case of run books, if someone gets paged and then they do a run book and it is wrong to the point of bringing down some other part of the system, then you're in a worser state. One of us brought up that we teach other things just fine. Again, a matter of degree. You know, what does just fine look like in a business environment? You're looking at, time to fill someone with knowledge. In a school system, this is years perhaps, but in a business, maybe this is, you're targeting weeks, months. And also that there is a sort of deeper knowledge of a running system and its code that someone termed dark matter, which is that there is an interwoven linkage between code, comments about code, documentation about the code, specs that ended up making that code, pages about that code, emails about that code, and that is hard to observe. So our calls to action are that rather than treat this as a sort of one-off thing, I think it's more of a cultural issue. Just like many other things that we're talking about. So turning it into a cultural thing that we are always onboarding, we are always learning. And the way that we get better at that is the traditional ways of getting better at things. Like you measure what its success is, you make it part of someone's job. Not someone, the whole team's job. Using the buddy system in onboarding is really powerful. If you have a buddy when you join, then you can engage in something more like just telling stories rather than having to go to the documentation. And I think I'm out of time, so there are many other calls to action. Thank you, bye.